Welcome to the Eat, Slay, Live podcast.
And we are the Loxecutioners. We're going to be eating lightning and talking thunder and power bombing you right in the ear holes today. Welcome to the Eat, Slay, Live Daily Grow with myself, Todd Locks, the People's Champ. Back in the studio today. First off, I have a birthday shout out going out to my boy Justin Brown, my foxhole friend, my bunker buddy, Justin Brown. Thank you, Justin, for everything you do. Thanks for being such a great friend. Thank you for building the Thunderdome. I could go on and on, but I've had him on the show. We've given him enough freaking props. Anyway, happy freaking Tuesday. I am super excited today. Have a guest on. Her name is Crystal Officer. She is the CEO of Beverly Farms in Godfrey. It's a place that has my heart. It's a place that we've linked up to with the Kindly Savage circuit. So I'm super excited to have her on, tell her story. And I think a lot of people don't really know what goes on at the Beverly Farm Foundation. So I hope she can kind of shed some light on that. If you have any questions at all or any good stories or anything about Beverly Farm, please jump on. Here I'd like to welcome to the show Crystal Officer. Good morning, Crystal. Crystal, how are you?
Good morning, Todd. I'm blessed and well. How are you doing?
I am blessed and well as well. Thanks for coming on. I know it's kind of been a long time coming. First of all, I just want to kind of start out with your story. I know you have an interesting background, so we'll just start from the very beginning with you, Crystal. Where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah, a small town called Owensboro in Western Kentucky. But you know, Todd, I've actually worked in 11 states.
11. And so Illinois is the 11th on your list?
Yes.
Gotcha. Now, how long were you in Kentucky? What was life like then?
Okay. So I was born and raised in Kentucky and stayed in Kentucky until I was about 26, 27. So I was born to a homeless mother and grew up in foster home, later adopted by my foster parents, which I consider to be a great blessing. So I stayed there for a while. I went to college, came back, had a couple of babies, then started moving as I worked hard to support the mission of the company that I then worked for and also be able to care for my kids well.
Wow. So I feel like we just kind of were skipping ahead. So from born to homeless mother, grew up in foster care and was adopted by foster parents, and then to CEO. I feel like we just glossed over about a really tough journey there. Where did you go to college, Crystal?
Sure. I went to college at Murray State University in Murray, Kentucky, which is about 17 miles from the Tennessee line, bordering the Paris, Tennessee area.
The Blue Racers?
Yeah, the Murray State Racers.
Yeah,
Go Racers. I got my bachelor's and master's degree both from Murray State.
And what was your degrees in?
Well, my bachelor's degree is in criminal justice and legal studies, and my master's degree is in public administration with an emphasis in human resources.
I get you. And I don't want to get into it too much, but what was life like in the foster system for you?
Yeah, I think that it was well. It was well. I didn't have the experience of going from home to home as many foster kids do. I went into foster care with one family, and there I remained to being adopted by them. But my foster parents had over 50 foster kids in their care. So it was an interesting experience, and it developed a flexible mindset and a really adaptable mindset because you didn't know when somebody else was going to show up, what they were going to need, where they were going to be. It was a blessing because it taught me to value the differences in everybody. And it helped instill in me the idea that you can learn from anybody on any day. You just have to be willing to.
Wow, that's an amazing story that I did not know. So where did your career, after you graduated from Murray, where did your career path go then?
So when I first graduated from Murray State, I wanted to go into probation and parole. but
Okay.
there was a hiring freeze in Kentucky for probation officers. So I started working at a nonprofit in Owensboro as a teacher of a 2-year-old classroom at an early learning center. And then one day, one of my friends came and knocked on my door and said, "Hey, this place up the street, Khaki, is hiring, and they're paying more. Do you want to come with me to apply?" Well, I had just had my first daughter, Hope. I was a single mom. I was living in the housing authority. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, cool. So we went and applied, and it was a job working with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And they hired me as a direct care staff where I worked at the day program while I waited to complete my full training to go into the residential program. And I was pretty quickly promoted to a case manager and a training coordinator from the DSP position. And I credit that promotion, well, first of all, to grace, but then also I just operated from a place of caring. You know, I kept the residents that I worked with, the people that I worked with, actively engaged. People didn't sit in my group with food on their mouth or their hair out of place. You know, I worked with from a place of a caring heart and treating everybody with dignity and respect. I adopted the company's mission that I was working for and let it guide my actions. So
I love that. And I love how you just got so specific with not a hair out of place, because you see that in a lot of institutions like that, where they don't care as much as you did. Did you kind of, when you started there, did you kind of fall in love with that kind of work and nonprofit, and fall in love with just the care of these residents?
I did. The best people you will ever meet. I've had the great pleasure of working with. So much joy and an incredibly hard in incredibly hard working environments. They make it all worthwhile, and they make the work easy. It was easy, and it has been easy to come to work every day throughout my career because of the great love and joy through which the people we support move in and live in.
Do you think that you're, being born to a homeless mother and adopted and taken into foster care, do you think that kind of helped with your caring? You've seen how someone has taken you in and kind of and shown you love. Is that upbringing? Is that kind of where you got this passion for it, you think?
Yeah, I do think it was a major contributor. Plus, I have a Christian worldview. So I believe that we should walk in love and that we should be kind to everyone. Also, one of my brothers has a traumatic brain injury. So I also had the experience from working with people who learned a little differently throughout my teenage years, my late childhood and teenage years.
Now you're talking about Murray State, and I've done a little research on you. Now your education didn't stop there with Murray State. I don't think there, Crystal Officer. Don't be modest with us. I know you're a permanent permanent learner. Like, you're always looking to further your education. So how have you done that since graduating from Murray State?
Yeah. So since graduating with my master's degree from Murray State, and even before, in the gap between my bachelor's and master's degree, I've pursued continuous learning and growth through different certification programs and by pursuing different training opportunities. So I have a lean belt in Six Sigma from Purdue University. I have 4 certificates in strategy from Harvard, a certificate in corporate communication from Cornell. I am certified to administer psychometric testing or emotionally intelligent leadership testing through Multi Health Systems. And I also have a certificate in AI from Harvard.
Now, where does this continued learning, where does this come from? It seems like you're just never stopping with just bettering yourself. Where does that come from?
I close gaps. So when I got the certificate in Six Sigma, I was working with a large janitorial services employment program for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And I needed to learn more about lean practices and inventory controls. And then when I came to Beverly Farm, when I did my assessment of my introductory period to Beverly Farm, I found 2 critical areas in which I feel like I could have done better. And one of those was communication. I did not while I was getting feedback that I was communicating more than they had received in a while, what I determined was when I did my own analysis that I didn't communicate as a crisis communicator. And I should have been communicating as a crisis communicator because we were still in COVID and there was a lot of change management going on. So that's why I picked up that certificate in corporate communication. And the certificate was strategies. There's a lot of strategic work that has to be led at Beverly Farm Foundation. And I wanted to make sure that I had all of the tools, all of the knowledge, the best information that I could have to effectively lead this change. So even I'm working on my PhD in general psychology with an emphasis in industrial and organizational society. That's also based on the needs of what I see within organizations, the ones that I've worked at prior, the one I work at currently, and other organizations that I've experienced.
So I'm taking that you find a weakness in yourself, or you find a weakness in the organization, and you attack it and you try to close that gap, huh?
Yeah.
I love that. So now where were you at before you came to Beverly Farm?
Okay, I was at this great company in Chicago called Ada S. McKinley Community Services, and they were located in 3 states, Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. And they have residential services and community day programs just like Beverly Farm Foundation. They also have a large employment program. They have contracts with the federal government to employ people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We would do the pest control, the metal maintenance, and all of the cleaning, the floor care at the Dirksen Federal Building, at the Milwaukee Federal Courthouse. Plus, they had behavioral health services, early learning services, and educational services as well.
So then that sounds like a great job, and what you're kind of made for. Is how do we end up leaving there up in Chicago and coming down to little Godfrey, Illinois, to Beverly Farm Foundation? How does that come about?
I was loving my life, Todd.
Okay, then you got some explaining to do, Crystal Officer.
I was loving my life. I was so happy. I was in such a good place. I was really thriving, and I had a great boss and mentor, and the team was wonderful. But as I had mentioned before, I have a Christian worldview. And I heard in the spirit to leave my job, not once, but 3 times. The first time I heard God ask me if I would leave. And I remember I fell back on my little lazy boy brown recliner sofa, like, God, you're funny. Ha, ha, ha. And then I called my sister and asked if she thought he was serious. And then I heard him once again, and I wrote my resignation notice. I met with someone, and they said, never leave a job before you have another one. So I didn't leave. And then the 3rd time I was praying and talking to the Holy Spirit, asking about why my soul didn't feel at home. And my heart was crying out that I wanted my soul to feel at home. And that's when I heard again to leave my job. And I remember I was driving in the car with my daughter, and I pulled over and got out. I started crying. I pulled over and got out by a tree, and she came and put her hand on me and said, Mom, it's okay. God's got us. So I quit my job without any other job. And I was a senior vice president of program operations, doing very well, thriving in Chicago, but I quit my job and trusted God. And we began our faith walk. We were packing, Todd. We had no clue where we were going, but we'd be dancing around the house packing, getting ready to make a move.
It's weird how God works in those ways, isn't it? How like you try and ignore it, but he won't let you ignore it, right?
Yeah.
What did your former employer say when you turned in your resignation?
Well, it was the second time I had talked to them about, being called to leave. So I don't think they were surprised, but we were positioned well because I had already started working on a replacement. So they understood. Of course, they would have desired for me to stay. But they were proud of me. My boss was proud of me that I was stepping out, that I was, becoming, once I got my job, that I was becoming a CEO as well. I mean, he was very proud and happy for me.
That's a giant leap of faith, Crystal.
Yeah.
So we start a job search then?
No, I took a few months, updated my resume, kind of breathed through it. So we were still in COVID, and I started updating my resume, and Beverly Farm was one of the first jobs I applied for and the only job that I interviewed for. I didn't get any interview requests. other than Beverly Farm until after I was already here.
Funny how that works, right? What drew you to Beverly Farm?
Well, I would say that I believe this is where I needed to be. The area was nice. It was, the main campus is beautiful with the horses. And it's funny how things go together, Todd, because I had a country song on my heart. What is the name of that song? A Southern Symphony. Have you ever heard it?
I don't know.
So I had this country song on my heart, and it was called the Southern Symphony, and it just talks about these beautiful days, right? These beautiful days in the country. And when I pulled up to Beverly Farm, it was my birthday week, and see, God is really good. He always does big, beautiful things for me on my birthday.
Uh-huh.
But when I pulled up to Beverly Farm, the main campus, it was like that song. Like my whole life, I have never had too much of an interest in horses, but I had started taking horseback riding lessons like a year before I came to Beverly Farm.
Huh?
What'd you say?
Coincidentally?
I didn't know I was coming to an equestrian center. It seemed right. It felt right.
Uh-huh.
It flowed well.
Now, a lot of people don't know, and one of the real reasons I know you had this great story, I didn't know it was this good, but I think a lot of people in this area, they've heard of the Beverly Farm Foundation, but they really don't know what you guys do out there. I didn't know until, I went out there and took a tour of it, years ago, and I fell in love with the place. I fell in love with the people. And so I think a lot of people don't really know. I mean, it's been a business at 120. You guys are celebrating 125 years this year. It's its own sort of little city, correct? Would you kind of describe it like that?
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And we do have a campus style community. So at Beverly Farm Foundation, we create loving and caring homes for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We hire community members to support them with their activities of daily living, helping make sure that they're safe and well cared for. So we have a few different major programs. We have our main campus programs. So on our main campus, that's where you see like the little town, the little community. We have an equestrian center. We have a gym with a half basketball court and an in-ground pool. We have a softball court. We have a little cottage where people can camp out. And we have a resale shop and a coffee shop where our residents go and get drinks. The coffee shop becomes like a social hour around 3 o'clock for a large group of our residents. And then we have the equestrian center where people can learn about horses, learn to care for horses, and take, private lessons or group lessons on riding. Then we have our community-based programs. So we have homes and community neighborhoods. Again, supporting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities with community members that work as our team members, our staff. And then we have our group homes, which are all along one street behind our main campus. And then we have a community day program where residents go during the day and work on things that are important to them and for them. It's all about learning and growth and skill development. We also have some contract work so residents can make some money.
Yeah, so you guys, like, I remember that when I went there and toured, I went into one of the residents' homes, and it's kind of like a dormitory type, sort of like a college living situation for the resident. And I remember I walked in and all the residents came rolling out, and it was just questions after questions and hugs and high fives and knuckles. And that's really what made me fall in love with the place, is just the residents there. And I didn't realize, like what the place was. Now, is the resale shop and the coffee shop, is that open to the public?
It is open to the public. I think the hours are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. And on Sunday, we're closed on Sunday, and we're only open a half a day on Saturday.
So it's a little shop where like they can buy used items and things like that. And so the residents they work the shop, they work the coffee shop and they're right.
Absolutely, they do.
Yeah. Now the equestrian program, is that open to public? Can people bring kids out to learn, or is that just a place for the campus?
People can bring kids out to learn. So we have Barn Buddies program for younger kids, and we run camps all summer long. All you have to do is go to our website, Beverly Farm Foundation, and then find our equestrian center on our website, and you can register there.
And now, one thing you talked about, so I know you guys have some contract work where residents can work during the day on campus, correct?
Yes.
And then they do work outside in the community, correct? There's certain businesses and companies, things like that hire and bring in residents to let them go to a job every day, correct?
We do have a very small group of people that have community jobs, but if you're a community employer and would like to help us grow our employment program by hiring any of our persons we support, we would love to talk to you. We do have some volunteer opportunities as well.
Gotcha. And now you talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to expand on a little bit. Now you also have residents who live outside of the campus and have like houses, and that they sort of like in a group living environment, correct?
Yes. So our community homes have a small number of people that live in them. So up to 6 people can live in our community homes. Most of our community homes have 3 or 4 people living in them. So it's a smaller living environment. And it is more like what you see in your own private home every day. Somebody's going to cook. We're all going to come and eat. It feels more like a natural family environment.
How many residents total does Beverly Farm have?
About 300.
Oh, wow, 300.
Yeah, that's through all of our residential programs combined. I almost forgot to mention our Harden Apartments, which is an amazing program where residents live independently in their own apartments, and we have staff on site that support them should they have any needs. And that's just a beautiful place to be. At Beverly Farm Foundation, we have the best staff and we have the best residents. It's truly a blessing to get to see everything that our staff does for our residents on a daily basis.
Yeah, that place really does have my heart. Now, how many acres is Beverly Farm? The campus. I know you're not counting like the outside housing.
Yeah, 222.
222 acres. Wow, it's been around 125 years.
What'd you say?
It's been around 125 years.
We're at 126 now. We were founded in 1987 by William Smith and his wife Elizabeth, who were looking for land to create an environment where kids with disabilities could learn, grow, work, receive appropriate medical treatment. They were all the way from Massachusetts, Beverly, Massachusetts, and made it to Godfrey, Illinois, where they decided to settle.
That's amazing.
Back in I'm sorry, it was 1897. Could you imagine?
1987. It's like, man, that makes us old.
It was 1897. Such a great history and legacy.
Now, another thing that I don't think a lot of people know is a lot of the residents there. I mean, you have some that are local, but a lot of the residents, they come from all different states. They come from all over the place, correct?
Absolutely. I don't know how many different states the residents are from at this point, but we have people all across the United States of America, and we welcome their families twice annually for family weekend. So this coming weekend, we'll be welcoming people from as far as, hopefully we'll have some families from Colorado or California come out, North Carolina, Florida, throughout the United States. And they'll be joining us locally here this weekend to come and visit with their family and spend time with the broader Beverly Farm community.
And you guys do a lot of like events like that. You guys have they have a prom there. You have 2 different family weekends throughout the year and things like that, correct?
There's always something going on for our residents. I think last Friday was karaoke. We have an activity director who does such amazing work leading with love and care for our residents. And she's always planning fun activities. And we do have a volunteer coordinator as well. If anybody's interested in volunteering to come and help us with our activities, please go to our website. There's volunteer information there as well. But yeah, we're always doing something fun for our residents, and we look and hope to do more. We've been, our industry was hit hard by COVID. And we continue to attempt to rebuild and get back to, you know, what Beverly Farm looked like in it prior to COVID. But yeah, no, it's beautiful. The residents always have something to do. But one of my favorite things is when I look out of my window and I see residents riding the horses during the day around campus, or when I see them out on their bikes, biking around campus, going to the shops or to visit a friend that lives in another home. There's always a meaningful activity. And, you know, we have fireworks every year too. We do a fireworks show.
When you see them on the horses, do you hit play on the Southern Symphony and just let that roll around in your office?
No, but I used to go sit in my car back by the cabin where, you know, people can go and camp and listen to that song. That's what I would do. I would go because it's so beautiful with all of the trees. I would go back there and take breaks and listen to that song.
Jennifer Bonner, who is, I'm not going to go into the story, but it's how I ended up associating with Beverly Farm. But Jennifer Bonner, whose son has Down syndrome and is my assistant trainer here at Pride Fitness. She says the Equestrian Center is fabulous and they have great summer camps. She says, keep doing great things because your residents rely on your dreams. That's a great quote right there.
That is great. Yeah, that moved me. I appreciate that, Jennifer. And we are incredibly grateful for the Kindly Savage community. So Todd, let's talk a minute about Kindly Savage.
Well, first of all, this is about you. I'll come on your show. How's that?
Okay, well, let me just thank you then. Let me thank you, Todd, and the whole Pride Fitness community for your work in Kindly Savage. If anybody out there doesn't know what Kindly Savage is, it is a community from Pride Fitness and the broader community that has came together to support physical activity and development for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And it has been so meaningful for our residents. Our residents, you know, it's actually improving health outcomes. We have residents who have lost weight and who have adopted this philosophy and focus more on healthy living every day now. We are so incredibly grateful that this Saturday at 3:30 at Beverly Farm, we will be recognizing Todd and the Kindly Salvage community by awarding them, you, Todd, and your community, the first ever Community Champion Award that Beverly Farm Foundation has given out. And this was this idea came to my mind just watching you at the last circuit, Todd. It was so amazing and it was so meaningful. And I want to thank you for championing health and fitness and wellness and rights for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And also thank you for being on our SELA board too, but just phenomenal work. And we just want to take a second to honor you for your dedication and your heart for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Don't try to, first of all, thank you. Don't try to take over my show, Crystal. This is about
I'm
you.
sorry. I had to. I couldn't help myself.
You know, you told me about the award and I haven't really said anything about it to anyone just because I love that Kindly Savage is being recognized, but I feel a little bit embarrassed. It was my idea, but when you came here and witnessed it, it's 100 people here just treating the residents like rock stars, like superstars, like celebrities, like they're professional athletes and things like that. You know, I'm one person. I came over there. I just walk around and act like a clown. But, you know, these people give up, you know, a couple hours of their day to come in and just cheer on these residents. And that's why I'm slightly embarrassed by it. But I want our people to be recognized, and the Kindly Savage thing, I want it to keep growing. We're hoping, I haven't talked to you about this though. I sent Tara a message. I hope to do the next one on May 11th. May 11th, it's a Saturday at 10:30 here. So that's when I hope our next Kindly Savage thing is. You know, talking about the people here, you know, we did a drive where because we give every resident that comes in, every participant, a T-shirt that does it. A lot of times they lose their T-shirts, but we give them a T-shirt. And so we sold those shirts, and we sold like 147 of those shirts. And all the money goes back into, you know, we eventually want to get Kindly Savage uniforms, let them come in. They'll have their own workout clothes and kind of look like a team. So that's kind of the dream of it, you know, going forward. So what can be expected at Family Weekend this weekend?
Okay, so on Friday we have business meetings. So we'll be meeting with the board and doing board committee meetings. Saturday, our families will be meeting. There will be a foundation meeting. And then we'll get into the afternoon where we are going to be having a field day. So around 1:00 p.m., we'll be having different activities set up around the main campus for our residents and their families to be out and about and participating in. We're also going to have a bocce tournament with our Special Olympics team. And, then of course, Ty, we will be presenting you with your award and having a presentation on Kindly Savage. And sorry if I went rogue, Todd. I couldn't help it. It's just so well deserved. I wanted to acknowledge you.
I don't, and I also don't like getting like pats on the back for the thing because I love it. I always tell people the Kindly Savage circuit and being around the residents there is more beneficial to me than I feel like it probably is to them. I just fell so in love with the place. Real quick, couple things. If people want to help out, now how are you guys funded mostly there? Because it's a giant operation. First of all, how many people do you guys employ there?
Yeah, we employ about 250 people.
Wow, that takes a lot financially.
Yeah, and that's direct hires. We also have different contractors that work with us every day. So we have a PTOT group that we don't hire the staff, but they work there. And we have dietary services staff. We have a registered dietitian and food service handlers that also aren't employed for us, but support the mission every day.
I love that. And it's just such a big. You have nurses and just like everything that's needed in like kind of a small little town or city or something. You guys have to employ there, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How could people, if they want, how is it you guys mainly funded? I know the community is rally. You guys rally the community to try to get donations. How are you guys funded, and how can people help?
Absolutely. Thank you. So we are primarily funded through Medicaid funding. So we receive a daily rate for each of our residents that live on our main campus, group homes, and in our CELAs and attend our day program. But then we also do have a development department. So we're fundraisers. And our largest campaign of the year is coming up, and that is Racing for Beverly Farm. And on May 16th, we will be having a kickoff event at Grafton Winery. And we're very excited about that.
So fun.
It's free to attend. Everybody can come. Did you say you're going to come, Todd?
I did. So fun. So fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're excited. So we will be working to fundraise $850,000 within a 24-hour period.
Wow.
So it is a significant fundraising campaign. We would love to see the community out as we kick off that campaign. The actual campaign will be on Tuesday, May the 21st, and Wednesday, the 22nd. But the event on May 16th at Grafton Winery is free admissions. We are going to be doing some table dice racing. So come on out and join us. We'll have local food vendors out with some food. And of course, the great staff at the Grafton Winery will be there to serve drinks at the bar.
Now, don't you have something with that Tuesday with that giving day? Is you have people who also match the donations, right? So is that correct?
Yes, it is a matching campaign. So we work to get matching donors in advance of the 24-hour campaign. And then as other people give, it releases the matching donors' dollars. So the donations can be tripled. And if we do very well quadrupled, to get us all the way to $850,000.
Yeah. So if people watching this, if you give, there's a way that money could be tripled. Say you give $100, it could turn into $300, $400, or whatever. So just please keep that in mind for the great things that they're doing out there. Real quick, I have to do this real quick, Crystal, or some of my buddies at Beverly Farm will kill me. Okay, so I had to give a little shout out to some of our Kindly Savage All-Stars real quick. They Facebook message me a lot and tell me they watch the show. Some Justin Reynolds, Zach Rhodes, Jeff D, Steven Stranger, Kathleen. I'm gonna say her name, but Polakowski. Angela, Stephen, and Jonathan Vick brothers, Rasheed, the Grizzly, Corey, Liz, DJ, Jerry, and Whitney. I just want to give you guys shout outs. I cannot wait to see you guys this weekend. I'm probably going to break my hug record for one single day when I come out there, but I just can't wait. Crystal, is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like to say?
Thank you for allowing me to join your podcast today. I had a great time.
I did. Listen, you're an amazing person. It's an amazing story. I know you tried to gloss over how you were born and raised and where you came from. I saw you tried to glaze over your education, but a truly amazing person who, you know what I'm saying, who maybe hasn't come from the best beginnings, but you know what? You've turned that around to where now you're just doing amazing things for the people of the community and the residents there, and just watching how you've come in and changed the place, it's a different culture. You have, I feel like there's just different core values there, and it's amazing what you've done. And you have some great staff there. I want to give a shout out to Taylor Justice, Tara Wagon Blast, dude. Tara, we have kindly staff. She's got to put them all in a van and drive them down here and drive. I can't imagine what that van ride is like coming down here and leaving. It's probably just chaos, I'm sure. But she does amazing things there too. Thank you for everything. People, if you don't know a lot about Beverly Farms, check it out, man. We have this amazing place just right here in the middle of Madison County that a lot of us don't know, and they're doing great things, not just for this one, but for our country and the people that live here. So thank you, Crystal. Keep up the amazing work.
Thank you, Todd. You have a blessed day, and I'll see you Saturday.
I will see you this weekend. All right. Thank you very much, Crystal.
Bye.
That has been the Eat, Slay, Live Daily Grow with myself, Todd Locks, the People's Champ. Thank you for listening. Thanks for growing with us, and slay on.